In a world where everyone wants to be seen, the strongest move is to stay unseen. We live in an age of constant noise, where every thought becomes a post, every goal becomes a story, and every dream must be shared before it's even real. But here's the truth. Real growth doesn't happen in public. It happens in silence, in the unseen hours, in the quiet mornings, in the moments when no one's watching but you. This audiobook is not about isolation. It's about intention. It's about understanding that your energy is sacred, and not everything deserves your attention, your reaction, or your explanation. It's about learning that privacy is power, and the less you say, the more you do. Because success built in silence is success that lasts. When you stop telling people what you're doing, you start doing it better, not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting. You're protecting your peace from envy, your progress from judgment, and your motivation from outside noise. Most people talk about their plans because they want validation. They want someone to say, "That's amazing." But every time you share your goal too soon, you release a bit of the energy meant to achieve it. Talking becomes a substitute for action. And when the applause comes before the effort, your fire fades before it even starts. The truth is, you don't owe anyone an explanation for your path. You don't have to announce every move, justify every choice, or prove your worth through visibility. You're not here to perform. You're here to build, and builders don't need noise. They need focus. In silence, you find clarity. In silence, you find strength. In silence, you find yourself. But silence is not easy because it demands patience. It requires faith. Faith that your results will speak louder than your words. Most people want recognition before they've done the work. They crave validation before they've earned it. But those who truly win, they understand something deeper. They know that delayed praise is stronger than instant approval. They know that the real flex is not being known, but being undeniable. This is what focus in silence really means. It means choosing discipline over display. It means choosing results over recognition. It means trusting that you don't have to prove anything to anyone except yourself. You can disappear for a while and still move forward. You can fall quiet and still make noise through action. You can walk in shadows and still shine through your results. Because the truth is, people can't compete with what they can't see. The loudest ones are rarely the most successful. They're too busy talking about the next big thing to actually become it. But those who stay silent, they're building, they're refining, they're growing in private. And when they finally step into the light, their presence speaks for itself. You'll notice that the most disciplined people don't share much, not because they're secretive, but because they're focused. Their time is spent doing, not telling. They let their work reveal their intentions. They let their consistency prove their passion. They let their peace confuse the ones who expect noise. If you want to win, stop performing and start practicing. Stop talking about it and start living it. Stop posting your goals and start protecting them, because your silence is your sanctuary. It's where momentum is built. It's where strength is developed. It's where you become unstoppable, because there's nothing left to prove, only progress to make. Every chapter of this audiobook will help you reclaim that quiet power. You'll learn how to protect your energy from distraction, how to use focus like a weapon, how to detach from validation and build peace in your own lane. You'll learn to recognize the difference between ambition and attention. Ambition builds, attention burns. One fuels you, the other drains you. You'll learn that mystery is magnetic, that the less people know about your process, the more powerful your results become, because people can't interfere with what they don't understand. Remember this: your goals don't need to be announced to be real. Your progress doesn't need to be posted to be valid. Your peace doesn't need to be explained to be justified. You are allowed to evolve quietly. You are allowed to heal privately. You are allowed to win silently. And when you do, it will all make sense. Because the same people who once questioned your silence will eventually respect your results. There is nothing louder than quiet success. There is nothing more powerful than calm confidence. And there's nothing more intimidating than someone who works without needing attention. So as you listen to this audiobook, I want you to remember one thing. You don't have to tell anyone what you're doing. You just have to keep doing it. Let your actions whisper your progress. Let your results echo your consistency. Let your growth speak your truth, because in the end, you don't win by being seen. You win by becoming undeniable. Welcome to Never Tell People What You Do, a journey through silence, discipline, and mastery. This is Bookwise Audio, where growth happens quietly and success speaks for itself. Chapter 1: The Power of Moving in Silence. There's something undeniably magnetic about quiet people. They don't need to explain what they're doing. They don't chase validation. They move differently. While the world shouts its every move, they stay grounded in stillness, focused, patient, and calm. They know that noise doesn't equal progress. In fact, the louder people talk about their plans, the less likely they are to follow through. That's because noise feeds the ego, but silence feeds the soul. Silence is power because it protects your energy. It keeps you from wasting time explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand your vision. When you move in silence, you stop leaking your purpose through conversation. You stop allowing others to influence the path that was designed for you. Every goal, every dream, every project you start, it begins as a seed, and seeds only grow in stillness. They don't demand attention. They don't announce themselves. They root quietly in the dark until they're strong enough to break through the surface. Your goals are no different. They need protection, not exposure. They need care, not commentary. When you plant your vision in silence, you give it the space to mature. Moving in silence isn't about isolation. It's about direction. It's choosing to focus your energy inward instead of scattering it outward. You don't owe the world an update. You owe yourself progress. There's a reason why most people fail to follow through. They talk too much about what they'll do and too little about doing it. Every time you announce a plan prematurely, you trick your brain into believing it's already accomplished. The dopamine rush from approval replaces the discipline needed for action. That's why the most powerful people are quiet, because they've learned that real success doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you repeat, refine, and execute. Silence is misunderstood in this world. People think being quiet means being weak, but silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing that not everything deserves your voice, that not every argument deserves your attention, that not every moment deserves an audience, because the truth is, most people don't actually want to see you succeed. They want to know what you're doing so they can measure themselves against you. They want information, not inspiration. And when you give them access too early, you invite doubt, distraction, and unnecessary opinions. Protect your energy. Protect your plans. Protect your peace. Your silence is not secrecy, it's strategy. There's a kind of beauty that comes from restraint, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything. It's a calm confidence that says, I don't need to explain myself. My work will speak. You'll notice that quiet confidence is always more powerful than loud insecurity. Anyone can talk. Few can execute. You can either spend your energy being impressive, or you can spend it being effective. You can't do both. The power of moving in silence is that it keeps your focus pure. When no one knows what you're doing, no one can distract you. No one can rush you. No one can distort your vision. You get to build at your own pace in your own way, without the pressure of being watched. And when your results appear, they speak louder than anything you could have said. That's what makes silent progress so powerful. It's undeniable. No one can argue with what's already done. Let your work speak for you. Let your habits show your commitment. Let your results reveal your discipline. You don't need to prove anything through words when your actions are already evidence. People may underestimate you. They may question your pace. They may think your silence means you're stagnant. Let them, because when they finally see what you've been building, their confusion will turn into respect, and their doubt will turn into quiet envy. You owe no explanations, just excellence. There's an old saying, lions don't turn around when small dogs bark. That's what moving in silence looks like. You don't react to noise. You don't justify your moves. You don't lower yourself to explain your strategy to those who haven't earned the right to hear it. You stay focused on your hunt, because the moment you stop to defend yourself, you lose momentum. The ones who talk too much rarely reach their goals because they're too distracted trying to be understood. But those who move quietly, who work behind the scenes, they conserve their energy for what matters most, the outcome. Here's what silence gives you. It gives you clarity, because you stop. Confusing movement with noise. It gives you peace, because you detach from the opinions of others. It gives you focus, because you no longer chase validation, and it gives you power, because mystery builds respect. When people can't read you, they can't limit you. They can't compete with what they don't understand. And that's your advantage. Moving in silence isn't about shutting the world out. It's about tuning yourself in. It's about learning to trust your instincts again. It's about developing the self-respect to walk away from conversations that don't align with your mission. Because not everyone deserves access to your process. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey, and that's perfectly okay. The less they know, the less they can interfere. Every day the world will tempt you to overshare, to post, to prove, to announce, but before you do, ask yourself, why? Are you sharing to inspire, or are you sharing to be seen? Are you working for peace or for applause? One builds fulfillment. The other builds emptiness, and the difference between the two is silence. So keep your plans close. Keep your energy sacred. Keep your progress private until it's undeniable. You don't need to announce every step. Just keep walking. You don't need to convince anyone. Just keep building. You don't need to prove your worth. Just keep winning. Because when you move in silence, you become unstoppable. Not because no one sees you, but because you no longer need them to. The first rule of power is not dominance. It's discipline. The discipline to stay silent when you could speak. The discipline to focus when others are distracted. The discipline to grow without needing recognition. And that discipline, that quiet strength, is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. So move with purpose. Act without announcement. And let your silence become the sound of success. Because one day, when you finally arrive, they'll say, I didn't even see it coming. And that's exactly how it should be. Chapter 2. Protecting your energy from noise and attention. The world is loud, and the louder it gets, the easier it is to lose yourself in it. Every day, you're surrounded by voices. People telling you what to chase, what to prove, how to live. You scroll through endless opinions, watch endless achievements, and before you even realize it, you start comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. And little by little, your focus fades, because energy doesn't only get drained by effort, it gets drained by distraction. Protecting your energy is not about isolation. It's about filtration. It's about deciding what deserves space in your mind and what doesn't. Not every thought deserves attention. Not every person deserves access. Not every moment requires reaction. Your peace depends on your ability to choose where your energy flows. Here's the truth. Attention is a form of currency. Whatever you pay it to grows stronger. When you give your attention to noise, to gossip, drama, or comparison, you're investing your mental energy into what drains you. But when you give your attention to growth, to purpose, to what truly matters, you multiply your peace. You can't control everything that happens around you, but you can control what enters your mind. And that's where power begins. Most people don't lose energy because they work too hard. They lose it because they worry too much. They overthink every interaction, every opinion, every possible outcome. But worry is not preparation. It's consumption. It eats away at your focus without ever solving anything. And every moment you spend replaying or predicting, you're abandoning the only moment you can influence, the present. That's how people burn out without moving forward. Their body is resting, but their mind never is. Protecting your energy starts with awareness. Ask yourself, what am I allowing into my mind today? The conversations you engage in, the content you consume, the company you keep, they all shape your energy. If something leaves you feeling smaller, confused, or anxious, it's not feeding your growth. It's feeding your exhaustion. Be intentional about what you absorb, because everything you allow in has the potential to shape what comes out. Not everyone deserves your access. Some people only come around when they need something. Some bring chaos instead of calm. Some drain you without even meaning to. You can love them and still set boundaries. You can care and still keep your distance. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's sacred. Because if you give too much of yourself to everyone, you'll have nothing left for yourself. And when your peace is gone, your purpose goes with it. Here's a quiet truth. You can't fix people who enjoy the chaos they create. You can't heal in the same environment that keeps hurting you, and you can't stay focused if you keep returning to what distracts you. Energy management is self-respect in action. It's saying, my peace matters more than their opinion. My focus matters more than their drama. My purpose matters more than their approval. It's knowing when to walk away, not because you're better, but because you're aware. You have to understand that attention is addictive. The world is built to steal it. Every notification, every post, every piece of media is designed to make you look, scroll, react. But not every reaction is worth your peace. Every time you engage in something meaningless, you fragment your focus. You stretch your attention thin until it's too weak to sustain what truly matters. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less with more depth. Protecting your energy means learning how to disconnect. Not from people, but from noise. Stillness is your greatest weapon. When you learn to sit in silence, you begin to feel how chaotic the world really is. At first, that silence will feel strange, almost uncomfortable. Your mind will crave stimulation. It'll look for something to fix, to check, to consume. But the longer you sit with stillness, the more you'll feel yourself returning to center, because silence resets your energy.
It recharges your clarity.
It reminds you that peace isn't something you find. It's something you protect. You can't expect to live a focused life if you keep letting everyone's opinions live rent-free in your mind. Not everyone deserves to know what you're thinking. Not everyone deserves to influence what you're building. Not everyone needs a response. Protecting your energy means letting silence do the talking. It means realizing that not every comment needs correction, and not every misunderstanding needs explanation. Your peace isn't a debate. It's a decision. Here's something to remember. You can't pour from a cup that's constantly spilling. And every distraction, every unnecessary argument, every time you explain yourself to the wrong audience, it's another drop lost. Protecting your energy is learning when to seal the cup, to say, this is not mine to fix. This is not worth my peace. This doesn't deserve my attention, because the more energy you waste on noise, the less you have for your purpose. Try this practice. Audit your environment. For 1 week, notice what drains your focus. Which apps, conversations, or people leave you mentally exhausted? Identify them, not with judgment but awareness. Establish boundaries. You don't owe constant access to anyone. You can love deeply and still protect your space. Silence can be the most loving boundary of all. Schedule solitude. Make quiet time non-negotiable. Not to isolate, but to recharge. Give your mind a place to breathe. Protect your inputs. Read, listen, and watch things that lift your energy. What you consume becomes how you think. So choose your fuel wisely. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you'll never face chaos again. It means chaos will no longer control you. You'll start to feel it. That shift when you no longer react to everything, when you no longer rush to explain yourself, when you no longer seek validation. Because your peace becomes louder than your triggers. Your focus becomes stronger than their noise. That's when you know you've grown. Not when life gets quiet, but when your mind does. Silence is not the absence of sound. It's the mastery of attention. It's when you can stand in the middle of noise and remain undisturbed. It's when you can scroll through chaos and choose peace instead. It's when you can be surrounded by opinions and still know your own truth. That's what real focus feels like. It's not about closing your eyes. It's about opening them fully and still choosing calm. Protecting your energy is protecting your future, because how you spend your energy becomes the story of your life. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the moments you stayed silent, the battles you didn't fight, the distractions you ignored, those were the moments you grew the most. You didn't lose anything by walking away. You simply made space for what was truly meant for you. So remember this: noise is temporary, peace is power, and the more you protect your energy, the more unstoppable you become. Because focus isn't found in chaos, it's built in silence. And when you learn how to master that silence, you won't just win quietly, you'll win completely. Chapter 3. Detaching from validation. You don't owe anyone proof of progress. We live in a world addicted to validation. Every thought is posted, every moment is measured, and every success feels incomplete until someone else acknowledges it. But here's the truth. As long as you chase approval, you'll stay trapped in the opinions of others. Because the moment your confidence depends on how people react, you've already given away your power. Validation is a quiet trap. It disguises itself as motivation. That rush you feel when someone praises your work, likes your post, or calls you inspiring. But it's not real fulfillment. It's temporary relief. It feels good for a moment, then fades, leaving you chasing it again and again. That's how people lose themselves. Not from failure, but from applause. When you need others to see your worth, you stop seeing it yourself. When you depend on recognition, you stop recognizing your own growth. And when your identity is built on approval, you'll crumble the moment it's taken away. Because the same crowd that cheers you on today can disappear tomorrow. And if your worth depends on being seen, you'll always live at the mercy of their attention. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing. It's the ability to know you're good enough even when no one says it. It's doing the work without expecting a spotlight. It's making peace with being unseen because you know your purpose isn't performance, it's progress. The truth is, your growth is not a show. Your healing is not a headline. Your purpose is not a post. It's sacred, it's quiet, and it doesn't need applause to be real. Most people seek validation because they're afraid of being misunderstood. They want to explain, to justify, to be seen clearly. But the more you explain yourself, the more you hand over your peace to people who may never understand you. You don't owe anyone proof of progress. Not your family, not your friends, not the people who doubted you. Because progress isn't always visible. Sometimes it's just waking up and choosing not to quit. Sometimes it's walking away from something that used to break you. Sometimes it's simply staying calm when you used to react. That's growth, and it doesn't need witnesses. Here's something you'll notice about truly confident people. They don't explain much. They don't announce what they're working on. They don't beg to be understood, because they understand one thing deeply. Validation is a distraction. The moment you start seeking it, you lose focus on the work itself. You start thinking about how something looks instead of how it feels. You start shaping your choices to please others instead of to fulfill yourself. And in that shift, you lose authenticity. There's peace in doing things quietly, in knowing that your work is yours alone, that no one has to understand your pace, your plan, or your process. When you no longer crave validation, you stop performing and start living. You stop chasing attention and start chasing purpose. You stop trying to be impressive and start being consistent. That's when life starts to align. Because everything you do comes from intention, not insecurity. But detaching from validation takes practice. Because your mind is used to chasing it. It's wired to seek reward, to look for that hit of acknowledgement. The only way to break the habit is to replace it with something deeper. Internal validation. That means learning to validate yourself. To give yourself credit without waiting for permission. It's saying, I did my best today, and knowing that's enough. It's finishing something and not needing to post about it. It's being proud of your effort, even when no one's watching. Ask yourself this. If no one could ever see what you were doing, would you still do it? Would you still chase the same goals? Would you still work this hard? Would you still create, still grow, still show up? If the answer is yes, you've already found your truth. You're no longer doing it for them. You're doing it for you, and that's where real freedom begins. Validation is fragile. It changes with opinions, with moods, with trends. But self-respect, that's steady. It's not loud, but it's powerful. It's the quiet assurance that says, I know who I am, even when no one's watching. That's what it means to detach, to stop explaining, stop proving, and start being. Because you don't have to announce your worth. You just have to live it. One of the most powerful things you can do is learn to be proud of yourself in silence. To wake up and know you're doing your best, even if no one claps. To make small progress every day without needing recognition. To build peace that doesn't depend on being noticed. That's how you become unshakable. When your peace no longer depends on people's opinions, you'll notice this shift when it happens. You'll stop over-explaining. You'll stop oversharing. You'll stop looking for reassurance. And suddenly, you'll realize how much energy you were wasting trying to be understood. You'll start to feel lighter. because silence no longer feels like absence, it feels like protection. You'll start to feel calmer because people's opinions will stop controlling your emotions, and you'll start to feel stronger because your validation will come from action, not approval. Remember this. You're not falling behind. You're simply no longer rushing for attention. You're not being ignored. You're being refined. Every time you stay quiet and choose discipline over display, you're building something sacred. Trust within yourself. That's the kind of validation no one can give or take away. Don't let your confidence depend on how loudly others applaud. Let it depend on how quietly you persist. Because in the end, it's not the validation that builds success. It's consistency. It's the small, silent wins that no one sees but you. That's what truly rewires your mind. The less you seek validation, the more you attract respect. Because people are drawn to those who move with quiet certainty. You don't need to prove yourself. You just need to be yourself. Consistently, purposefully, and silently. And one day, the same people who once doubted your silence will wonder how you did it. They'll look at your results and call it luck, not realizing it was years of private discipline. That's the beauty of quiet growth. It looks sudden to them, but you'll know the truth. It was built in silence, sustained by peace, and protected by your refusal to need their approval. Chapter 4. The Discipline of Patience. Building strength in the wait. In a world obsessed with instant results, patience has become a lost art. We live in a time where everything is designed to happen fast. Fast food, fast delivery, fast success. We're taught that if it takes too long, it's not working. But the truth is, everything meaningful takes time. The strongest trees don't grow overnight. They grow slowly, deeply, quietly, root by root, season by season. And so do you. Patience isn't about waiting passively. It's about enduring with purpose. It's about staying consistent even when results are invisible. It's about showing up every day when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, and when nothing seems to be changing. That's where character is built. Not in the moment you arrive, but in the time it takes to get there. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack patience. They quit too soon, doubt too early, and lose faith before the process can unfold. But growth is not something you can rush. You can't fast-forward transformation. You can only nurture it through discipline, trust, and time. The universe works in silence. Seeds grow underground before they ever see sunlight. Caterpillars dissolve before becoming butterflies. And the same is true for you. Your becoming happens in the unseen. Patience doesn't mean standing still. It means progressing slowly and consistently. It's about trusting the process, even when the process tests you. Every delay is teaching you something: discipline, humility, resilience, or timing. You may not see it now, but the lessons in waiting are shaping the person you need to become to handle what's coming next. You're not being denied. You're being developed. The truth is, you can't rush what's meant to last. Anything that grows too fast rarely survives the storm. Patience ensures that when you finally arrive, you're not just ready, you're grounded. It protects you from burning out too soon, from collapsing under success you weren't prepared for. That's why patience isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's knowing that timing matters as much as effort does. When you move with patience, you're not reacting, you're responding. You're not chasing opportunities, you're aligning with them. You're not desperate for results, you're preparing for them. There's power in waiting, because waiting gives you wisdom. It allows space for clarity. It teaches you what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Most people can work hard, few can wait well. But those who master both, they become unstoppable. Impatience is a form of fear. It's the fear that you're falling behind, that you're not enough yet, that someone else is doing better than you. But here's the truth. There is no race. There is no timeline. Life unfolds differently for everyone. You don't need to rush to match anyone else's pace, because your timing is sacred. And if you rush what's divine, you risk ruining what's destined. Patience is not passive. It's active faith. It's believing that your work has value even when no one validates it. It's trusting that something is happening even when nothing seems to move. It's the strength to keep watering the seed without needing to see the sprout. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. The dreamers quit when it gets quiet. The doers trust that silence means progress. Sometimes the wait is the work, because it's in the waiting that your discipline is tested. It's in the waiting that your focus is refined. It's in the waiting that your patience matures into strength. You may not realize it now, but every season of waiting is building the version of you that will thrive when the opportunity finally comes. You're learning to rely on consistency instead of motivation. You're learning to stay grounded instead of restless. You're learning to breathe through uncertainty instead of forcing control. That's patience. The quiet courage to trust life's timing. If you want something to last, you have to build it slowly. Fast success creates fragile confidence. Slow growth creates unshakable roots. When you rush, you skip lessons. You ignore details. You build without foundation. But when you move patiently, you build depth. You learn endurance. You develop focus that can't be shaken by distraction, because patience gives you what shortcuts never can. Substance. You'll know you've grown when you stop asking, "When will it happen?" and start saying, "It will happen when I'm ready." That's faith. That's maturity. That's patience. It's realizing that the process isn't wasting your time, it's preparing you for your time. Every slow season is sacred. It's where your mindset strengthens. It's where your habits deepen. It's where your character sharpens. Patience teaches you to see value in the invisible. Don't rush the silence. Don't curse the wait. Don't abandon the work because it feels slow. Growth doesn't always make noise. It often looks like stillness. But stillness isn't stagnation. It's preparation. While everyone else is shouting about their progress, you'll be building quietly. And when your time finally comes, you'll be ready, not surprised. Because patience didn't make you wait, it made you wise. So take a breath. You're not behind. You're right on schedule. Life isn't testing you to break you. It's teaching you endurance. Because strength without patience is unstable. Every slow step you take today is preparing you for the leap tomorrow. Stay patient. Stay grounded. And remember, you don't have to announce progress for it to be real. Sometimes the greatest progress is the peace you find while waiting. Chapter 5. The Power of Consistency. Showing up when motivation fades. Motivation is easy. It's loud, exciting, full of emotion. It makes you feel unstoppable for a while. But motivation fades. And when it does, what's left is what truly defines you. Consistency. Because success isn't built on the days you feel inspired. It's built on the days you don't. Everyone can start, but only a few can continue. Starting is fueled by excitement. Continuing is fueled by discipline. Motivation gets you moving. Consistency keeps you growing. That's why the people who achieve great things aren't the most talented or the most lucky. They're the most consistent. They do it even when it's boring. They do it even when it's hard. They do it even when no one is clapping. They've learned that showing up isn't just an action. It's an identity. Consistency is quiet. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't demand validation. It just repeats, refines, and rebuilds, day after day, moment after moment. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. It's waking up and giving your best, even when your best looks different each day. Because consistency isn't about doing everything right. It's about refusing to stop. When you commit to consistency, you train your mind to push past emotion. You stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start saying, "I'll do it anyway." That's where growth begins, in the gap between desire and discipline. Anyone can act when they're excited. Few can act when they're exhausted. But those who do, they build something unbreakable inside themselves, a rhythm of resilience. Think of consistency like water. A single drop doesn't shape a stone, but constant dripping does. It's not about intensity, it's about persistence. You don't have to move mountains every day. You just have to keep showing up and move a few stones at a time. Over time, those small invisible actions become unstoppable momentum. And one day, you'll look back and realize the mountain moved itself. The problem is, most people confuse consistency with routine. Routine is repetition without purpose. Consistency is repetition with intention. It's not about doing something every day. It's about doing something that matters every day. It's not mechanical. It's meaningful. It's showing up with awareness, not because you have to, but because you're becoming someone who does. Consistency is how you build trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce confidence. Every time you follow through, you strengthen integrity. But every time you break that promise, you teach your mind not to believe in you. That's why showing up matters, even when it's small, even when it's unseen, because you're not just building results. You're building reliability, the kind that says, I can count on me. There will be days when progress feels invisible, when the effort doesn't show, when no one notices how hard you're trying. Those are the days that matter most, because that's where consistency proves its worth. When it's thankless, quiet, and unseen, your results may not be visible yet, but your transformation is happening underneath. Consistency is not just a habit. It's a language, and your future is always listening. If you want to master consistency, you have to stop negotiating with your excuses. You'll never feel ready. You'll never have enough time. You'll never feel motivated every day. But consistency doesn't ask for perfect conditions. It just asks for effort. Show up tired. Show up messy. Show up uncertain. But show up, because imperfect consistency beats perfect intention every single time. Here's the truth. Discipline is freedom. It sounds strange, but it's real. Because when you're consistent, you no longer rely on mood swings. You don't depend on willpower. You move because it's who you are, not because you feel like it. That's when life gets simpler. You no longer overthink. You just act. The less you negotiate, the more you progress. Consistency doesn't require motivation. It creates it. Each small win builds momentum. Each completed task builds pride. Each repetition builds identity. You become someone who follows through, and that identity will carry you through the days when emotion can't. You'll stop waiting for the perfect mood, because you'll realize that consistency is the mood. You'll learn that routine isn't restriction, it's freedom disguised as structure. And you'll start to appreciate that doing something small every day beats doing something big once in a while. You don't have to do everything today. You just have to do something. Because consistency compounds. One quiet effort leads to another. One small promise leads to progress. And over time, those small wins build the life you've been waiting for. The results won't come fast, but when they do, they'll last, because they were built through patience, discipline, and repetition. The truth about consistency is this: it's boring, and that's why it works. It's the small, unglamorous actions that separate the successful from the average. The ones who stay the course understand that boredom is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of mastery. Because when something becomes repetitive, you're no longer struggling to do it. You're becoming it. That's how consistency rewires you. You don't just build habits, you become them. So when motivation fades, and it will, let discipline take over. Let your routine protect your purpose. Let consistency become your quiet declaration of commitment. Because the world will always chase excitement. But success belongs to those who can stay steady when the noise dies down. Keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because it's you. Because consistency isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And when persistence becomes your nature, success becomes inevitable. Chapter 6. Guarding Your Peace. The Art of Protecting Your Inner World. Peace is not something you find. It's something you build. It's the quiet foundation underneath every choice, every boundary, every moment you refuse to let the world shake you. The truth is, peace doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. And to protect it, you must first learn that not everyone deserves access to it. Your peace is sacred. It's not just a mood. It's a state of alignment between your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. It's the calm that says, I know who I am and I won't let chaos convince me otherwise. But peace is fragile in a world built on noise. Every opinion, every argument, every distraction pulls at your attention, trying to convince you that reacting is necessary. But not everything requires a reaction. Sometimes silence is your strongest response. Guarding your peace begins with awareness. You have to understand what disrupts it. Ask yourself, what drains my energy? What makes me feel smaller? What conversations leave me tense even after they're over? Most of the chaos in your life isn't caused by what's happening around you. It's caused by what you allow in. Your mind is a garden, and every thought, every influence, every interaction is a seed. If you don't protect it, weeds will grow where wisdom should. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to fix every situation. You don't have to explain your silence. Peace doesn't beg to be understood. It simply exists, quietly, firmly, without needing validation. You'll notice that the more peaceful you become, the more uncomfortable it makes others. Because peace threatens those who feed on chaos. They'll try to pull you back into noise, but you can't heal in the same environment that keeps breaking you. Protecting your peace sometimes means outgrowing what once felt familiar. Not every loss is a tragedy. Some are blessings disguised as distance. When people leave, when opportunities fade, when situations end, it's often life removing what disrupts your peace. At first, it feels like loss. Later, you realize it was freedom. Because peace doesn't need company. It needs clarity. And sometimes clarity only arrives after the noise leaves. Guarding your peace requires boundaries, not walls. Boundaries? Walls shut everything out. Boundaries teach others how to approach. You don't have to be harsh to be firm. You don't have to be distant to be discerning. Boundaries are a language of self-respect. They say, "This is how I expect to be treated. This is how far I'll go before I walk away." And the moment you start honoring your own peace, you'll stop chasing it from others. But here's the truth. Guarding your peace will cost you things. It will cost you your comfort with pleasing everyone. It will cost you the illusion of being understood by all. It might even cost you some relationships. But what you gain is worth far more: clarity, confidence, and emotional stability. You'll trade chaos for calm. You'll trade confusion for direction. You'll trade noise for truth. And eventually, you'll stop missing what left because peace will fill its place. There's a difference between peace and avoidance. Peace is strength. Avoidance is fear. Avoidance runs away. Peace chooses when to walk away. Peace is not pretending things don't bother you. It's mastering your response when they do. It's choosing not to let external noise disturb your internal rhythm. Because once you learn that peace is an inside job, you stop expecting the world to deliver it. You create it. You nurture it. You protect it like a treasure. Guarding your peace also means guarding your focus. You can't have peace if your mind is constantly overwhelmed. Learn to limit your inputs. Silence your notifications. Declutter your thoughts. Unfollow what doesn't feed your soul. Your peace is hiding under everything you tolerate, and once you start clearing out what doesn't align, you'll realize peace wasn't missing, it was buried. You'll notice that peaceful people don't rush. They move slowly, intentionally, gracefully. They're not in competition. They're in alignment. They don't talk about how calm they are. They embody it. Because real peace doesn't need to announce itself. It's not performance. It's presence. It's not loud. It's lived. The hardest part about guarding your peace is realizing that not everyone values it the way you do. Some people find comfort in conflict. Some find validation in drama. Some only feel alive when they're stirring chaos. Don't let their noise steal your stillness. You can't teach peace to those who profit from problems. You can only protect yours, and you do that by refusing to be pulled into what doesn't serve you. Protecting your peace doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means life becomes clear. You'll still face challenges, but you'll respond with calm. You'll still encounter negativity, but you'll know how to stay grounded. Peace doesn't remove storms. It teaches you how to stand in the rain without losing your balance. It's the quiet understanding that you can't control what happens, but you can always control what you give your energy to. When you master peace, you master power. Because power isn't domination. It's direction. It's the ability to stay calm in chaos, to be still in noise, to think clearly under pressure. That's true strength, not loud, not reactive, but quietly unshakable. And once you reach that point, you'll stop chasing people and start attracting those who match your calm, because peace is magnetic. It draws in what resonates with it. Your peace is your protection. It's your guide. It's your compass when life gets loud. Guard it. Be selective with your energy. Be intentional with your words. Be wise with your reactions, because not everything deserves your response. Not everyone deserves your access. Not every situation deserves your presence. You are allowed to choose peace, even when others choose chaos. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. The next time the world pressures you to rush, breathe. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, remember, peace doesn't beg to be understood. It simply is. And when you finally learn to protect it, you'll realize something powerful, that silence was never emptiness. It was strength in disguise. Chapter 7. Moving Without Announcement. The Strength of Private Progress. There's a quiet kind of power that comes from moving without a sound, from working when no one's watching, from building something real without needing to tell anyone you're doing it. This is the power of private progress, the kind that doesn't seek validation, doesn't crave attention, and doesn't need applause to stay motivated, because real progress doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it's invisible, happening deep within you, far from the spotlight, in the stillness where discipline lives. The loudest people in the room are often the least certain of where they're going. Noise fills the space where clarity should be. They talk because they need to convince others, and sometimes themselves, that they're doing something meaningful. But quiet people, they don't announce, they execute. They understand that the energy spent on explaining is better spent on creating. When you move without announcement, you create space for alignment. You're not performing anymore, you're becoming. You stop measuring progress by recognition and start measuring it by consistency. You stop rushing to prove you're doing something and start enjoying the process of actually doing it. You realize that progress doesn't need an audience, it just needs intention. And when your actions are rooted in purpose, you don't have to speak loudly. Your results will echo louder than words ever could. The truth is, when you tell people your plans too early, you give them power over your process. You open doors for opinions, for doubts, for projections that can distort your focus. Some will cheer for you, but some will quietly hope you fail. Not out of malice, but because your discipline exposes their excuses. That's why silence is strength. It protects your vision from premature exposure. Let your goals grow quietly, like roots under the ground, anchored, unseen, and unstoppable. You don't owe anyone an update. You don't have to justify your pace. You don't need to prove how hard you're working. The people who truly understand growth will never need proof, and the people who demand proof will never understand growth. Progress built in private is progress that lasts because it's not built for approval. It's built for purpose. Moving in silence isn't secrecy, it's strategy. It's knowing when to speak and when to let your results speak for you. It's trusting that what's meant for you will unfold without needing public validation. It's realizing that you don't need to convince anyone. You're on your way. You just need to keep walking. Because the strongest moves are made quietly, and the most powerful transformations happen unseen. When you stop announcing your goals, you start protecting your energy. You stop giving others the chance to plant seeds of doubt in your mind. You stop performing for approval and start building from authenticity. The more private your process becomes, the more peaceful it feels. Because when you don't need to prove anything, you can focus on becoming everything. Most people think silence is loneliness. It's not. Silence is sacred. It's the space where transformation grows. It's the stillness where you hear your intuition clearly. It's the quiet where your ideas take form. It's the calm that allows you to see what really matters. When you stop filling every moment with noise, you give your mind room to breathe, and your life starts to expand in ways words can't describe. There's a phrase that says, "Work hard in silence and let your success make the noise." But here's the truth. Real success doesn't even need to make noise. It just exists. It radiates. It speaks through presence, not through performance. Because when you've done the work, you don't have to prove it. You are it. Your calm becomes confidence. Your silence becomes authority. Your presence becomes proof. The hardest part of moving in silence is fighting the urge to be seen. We're conditioned to believe that progress must be shared to be real, that if no one notices, it doesn't count. But every private victory matters. Every quiet night you choose to work instead of talk. Every moment you resist the urge to show off. Every small step no one applauds. That's where true progress lives. You're not being overlooked. You're being refined. You're not being forgotten. You're being prepared. And when the time is right, your results will reveal everything your words never needed to. There's beauty in mystery. Not everyone needs to know what you're building. Not everyone deserves to know what's next. Mystery protects you. It keeps your energy contained, your vision intact, and your focus pure. Because once people know what you're doing, they start to project their limits onto your potential. They'll tell you it's too risky, too unrealistic, too soon, but they don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. They don't carry the fire that drives you forward. That's why some dreams are meant to be protected in silence until they're strong enough to stand on their own. When you move quietly, you give yourself the gift of peace. No pressure, no performance, no expectations. You get to grow freely, to make mistakes, to learn, to evolve without the weight of eyes watching your every move, and that freedom allows authenticity to flourish. You stop building for applause and start building for alignment. You stop chasing validation and start chasing truth. That's the strength of private progress. It's not about hiding. It's about honoring the process. Remember this, greatness rarely announces itself while it's growing. It reveals itself when it's ready. Just like a sunrise, it happens quietly, but once it appears, it lights up everything around it. So stay patient, stay silent, and keep moving, because your progress doesn't need to be seen to be real. It just needs to continue, and when it's time, the world will see what silence built. Chapter 8. Emotional Detachment, Mastering Calm in the Face of Chaos. At some point in life, you realize that peace isn't found in control. It's found in letting go. The more you try to manage everything, the more everything manages you. You try to control people, situations, outcomes, but all that effort only creates tension, not clarity. Emotional detachment is not about being cold. It's about being calm. It's not disconnection. It's discipline. It's learning to remain steady in a world that wants to shake you. The truth is, you can't control what others say or do, but you can control how you respond. You can't always predict life, but you can choose your peace over panic. You can't prevent storms, but you can become the calm inside them. That's what emotional detachment really is. Not shutting down your feelings, but mastering them. Because emotions aren't your enemies. They're messages, but not every message deserves a reaction. Most people react because they want release. They feel tension and they want relief. So they snap, argue, overthink, and spiral. But reacting doesn't release you. It traps you. It gives power to the very thing you're trying to escape. Every time you react impulsively, you let someone else control your peace. But the moment you pause, the moment you take that single deep breath before responding, you reclaim your power. Because calm is not passive. It's controlled strength. Detachment begins with understanding this. Not everything needs your energy. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to fix every situation that isn't yours to fix. Your silence doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. The more you practice calm, the stronger it becomes. And soon, you'll reach a place where people's chaos no longer disturbs your clarity. You'll hear noise, but it won't enter your mind. You'll feel emotion, but it won't dictate your decisions. That's mastery. Emotional detachment is not built overnight. It's built through practice, through moments of restraint, through times when you wanted to react but chose to breathe instead. At first, silence feels unnatural, but with time you start to prefer it because silence gives you space. Space to think. Space to heal, space to respond with intention. And soon, you'll start to realize that most things don't even require a response. Here's a truth to remember. Your emotions are valid, but not every emotion deserves a voice. Anger can visit. Just don't let it unpack and stay. Sadness can sit beside you. Just don't let it take the driver's seat. Frustration can rise, but it doesn't have to rule. You can acknowledge what you feel without becoming it. That's what detachment really means. Feeling deeply, but acting wisely. People often misunderstand detachment. They think it means being heartless, but it's the opposite. It's about having a heart so secure that you don't need to react to every storm. It's about being so centered that external chaos doesn't change your internal state. you can still care, you can still love, you can still be kind, without losing yourself in the process. Because empathy without boundaries leads to exhaustion, and love without peace turns into chaos. Detachment allows you to see clearly. When you stop reacting emotionally, you start observing rationally. You see patterns instead of drama. You notice lessons instead of losses. You gain clarity instead of confusion. It's like stepping out of a storm and watching the rain from under shelter. You're still aware of it, but it no longer consumes you, and that's where true power lies. Every reaction costs energy, and most people waste their energy on things that don't matter. They argue to prove a point. They post to seek validation. They chase closure from people who were never meant to give it. But emotional detachment teaches you that peace is worth more than being right, that silence is worth more than revenge, that calm is worth more than control. You learn to stop explaining. You learn to stop defending. You learn to let people misunderstand you and be okay with it, because you finally realize that being understood by yourself is more important than being accepted by others. Here's something powerful. You don't have to attend every emotional battle your mind invites you to. Not every thought deserves a conversation. Not every fear deserves focus. Not every doubt deserves debate. Detach, observe, choose. You can't stop waves from forming, but you can. Choose which ones you surf. That's what emotional discipline looks like. Control through clarity. It takes strength to stay calm when provoked, to smile when misunderstood, to keep your peace when someone is trying to drag you into chaos. That's not weakness. That's power, because the more you master your emotions, the less others can use them against you. People can't control you if they can't trigger you. And once you realize that, you'll stop giving others access to the buttons that disrupt your peace. Detachment isn't withdrawal. It's awareness. It's realizing that emotions are waves, and you are the ocean. The waves come and go, but you remain steady beneath them. You can let them rise and fall without losing yourself in their motion. That's what balance feels like, the ability to feel deeply and still remain centered. So next time chaos comes knocking, pause before you react. Take a deep breath before you speak. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter in a week, a month, a year? If the answer is no, let it pass. Your peace is too valuable to waste on temporary storms. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Stay detached, not from emotion but from reaction. Because you can't control the world, but you can control what it does to your spirit. Chapter 9. The Reward of Silence. How Stillness Attracts Everything Meant for You. There comes a point in your journey when you stop chasing and start attracting. When you stop explaining and start aligning. When you realize that silence isn't empty. It's magnetic, because what's meant for you can only find you when you've quieted everything that isn't. Silence is not absence. It's presence. It's awareness. It's clarity in motion. When you learn to embrace it, you begin to see how much noise you use to mistake for progress. You used to think being busy meant being productive. You used to think being loud meant being confident. You used to think being seen meant being successful. But silence teaches you something different. It teaches you that peace is power, and the calmest person in the room is always the most in control. You attract what you reflect. When your energy is chaotic, you draw in confusion. When your energy is calm, you draw in clarity. And that's the secret of silence. It aligns your vibration with the life you want to live. You don't force. You don't beg. You don't chase. You simply become the kind of person who naturally draws good things in. Silence creates space for that, because only in stillness can you hear what's truly meant for you. Most people fear silence because it reveals the truth. When the noise fades, they're left alone with themselves, and that's uncomfortable, because silence exposes the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. But if you can sit in that discomfort long enough, it becomes your teacher. Silence strips away illusion. It removes performance. It purifies your intention, and once you understand yourself in silence, you no longer need the world's validation to feel complete. That's where real attraction begins, from authenticity, not effort. There's something deeply magnetic about a person who moves quietly. They're mysterious but not distant, calm but not passive, present but not loud. People feel their energy before they hear their words. Because silence carries confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the kind of energy that says, I don't chase, I choose. I don't compete, I create. I don't announce, I attract. Silence also builds discernment. When you stop talking so much, you start listening more deeply, not just to others, but to yourself, to life, to the subtle signs that were always there but drowned out by noise. Stillness sharpens your intuition. It makes you sensitive to timing. You start to feel when something is right and when something isn't. And instead of forcing outcomes, you start trusting that what's meant for you will never need to be forced. You don't attract by convincing. You attract by becoming. You attract love by embodying peace. You attract opportunity by embodying discipline. You attract clarity by embodying calm. Everything you desire already exists, but it can't find you if you're constantly distracted, rushing, or trying too hard to control everything. Silence is how the universe recognizes you. It's in the still moments that alignment happens. In silence, you begin to realize how little you actually need. You stop chasing approval. You stop comparing journeys. You stop begging for recognition. And that's when things start coming to you effortlessly. Not because you stopped working, but because you stopped forcing. Force repels. Calm attracts. Noise blocks. Stillness opens. When you master silence, you stop fighting for what's yours and start flowing toward it. It takes trust to live this way. To not announce your next move. To not demand immediate results. To simply believe that what's aligned will always arrive in time. But trust grows stronger in quiet spaces. That's where patience turns into peace. That's where confidence stops being noise and becomes energy. You begin to understand that you're not missing out. You're making room. That every delay has meaning, and every silence has purpose. The most powerful people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who listen best. They know that listening isn't waiting for your turn to speak. It's observing with full presence. That kind of stillness draws people in. It creates safety. It creates connection. It creates trust, because when you're calm, you allow others to drop their defenses. Your silence gives them permission to find peace, too. That's the quiet ripple effect of true calm. It changes every space it enters. You'll notice this shift within yourself one day. You'll stop reacting to every challenge. You'll stop rushing to fix everything. You'll stop explaining who you are. You'll just exist, calmly, intentionally, quietly, and life will start to reflect that energy back to you. New opportunities, aligned people, unexpected blessings. They'll start finding you because you finally created space for them to arrive. That's what silence does. It creates room for destiny. When you master stillness, you begin to understand the rhythm of life, that not everything needs to be solved today, that not everyone needs to understand you, that not every season needs to be loud to be meaningful. You start to value the slow pace of progress, the gentle pace of healing, the quiet pace of evolution. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's expansion. It's where everything meant for you begins to unfold, so be still, not because you've stopped moving, but because you've stopped forcing. Be silent, not because you have nothing to say, but because you've learned that peace doesn't need explanation. The reward of silence is alignment. It's flow, it's freedom, and when you finally stop chasing, you'll realize everything meant for you was always trying to find its way back. Chapter 10. Becoming the Calm One, the Identity of Silent Strength. There comes a moment in your growth when silence stops being something you practice and starts being who you are. You no longer have to remind yourself to stay calm. You simply are calm. You no longer fight for peace. You embody peace. You no longer chase validation. You've outgrown the need for it. Because what once felt like effort has become identity. You've become the calm one, the person who doesn't react, who doesn't rush, who doesn't break. You've become the still point in the chaos, the eye of the storm that never moves. Becoming calm doesn't mean you feel less. It means you've learned to feel without losing yourself. You've learned that not everything deserves a reaction, that not every opinion needs an answer, that not every challenge requires resistance. You've learned to pause, not because you're weak, but because you've mastered the art of waiting. Patience is your shield, clarity is your weapon, and peace is your power. Calm doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you get stronger. You'll still face storms, but they'll no longer shake you. You'll still encounter noise, but it won't penetrate your focus. Because calm is not something life gives you. It's something you create and carry wherever you go. You can be surrounded by chaos and still remain untouchable inside. That's real freedom, not the absence of noise, but the mastery of it. There's something magnetic about calm people. They draw others in without trying. They walk into a room and instantly shift the energy, not because they demand attention, but because their stillness commands it. You can feel their presence, steady, grounded, confident. They don't rush to speak. They don't argue to win. They simply exist with quiet certainty, and that's what you've been becoming, a living example of quiet power. To become the calm one, you had to unlearn so much. You had to unlearn the need to prove yourself. You had to unlearn the habit of explaining everything. You had to unlearn the idea that being loud meant being strong. You had to let go of people who only understood your noise so you could grow with those who appreciate your peace. And somewhere along the way, you realized that silence wasn't emptiness. It was evolution. Calm is not passive. It's the highest form of control. It's standing firm while others panic. It's choosing peace when provoked. It's holding your ground without needing to defend it. You've stopped wasting energy on things that don't move you forward. You've stopped arguing to be right. You've stopped fighting battles that only drain your spirit. Now, your silence isn't weakness. It's confidence in motion. You no longer have to prove your worth. Your presence does it for you. Becoming calm also means becoming selective. You protect your time, your energy, your mind. You know when to speak and when to stay silent. You know when to act and when to wait. You understand that peace isn't found in every place, so you've learned to build it within. And because of that, you can walk away from anything that costs your calm without guilt or hesitation. That's emotional maturity. That's wisdom in practice. There's a quiet beauty in being unbothered, not detached, not distant, just deeply at peace. You no longer need to control every outcome. You no longer panic when things change. You've learned that everything meant for you will arrive without force. And because you trust that truth, you live lighter. You move slower. You speak softer. You breathe deeper. Because calm isn't what happens to you. It's what happens within you. People will start to notice the difference. They'll wonder how you stay so steady when things fall apart. They'll ask how you manage to stay quiet when others lose control. They'll want to know how you've built that kind of peace, and you'll smile, not because you figured it all out, but because you've finally found balance. You'll realize that nothing external can shake what you've built internally. That's what it means to win in silence. Becoming the calm one doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care correctly. You no longer give your energy to chaos. You no longer chase what distracts you. You no longer drain yourself trying to fix what was never yours to heal. Your love becomes intentional. Your focus becomes sharper. Your energy becomes sacred. And slowly, everything around you begins to change too. Not because you forced it, but because your peace became the new standard. Calm doesn't mean you never get angry. It means you don't live there. It doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means you don't let pain define you. It doesn't mean you never face storms. It means you've learned how to anchor yourself through them. That's mastery, when nothing external can pull you away from your center, because your center is where your power lives. And when you live from that place, you become unstoppable, not through aggression, but through awareness. In the end, becoming the calm one isn't about what you've gained. It's about what you've released. You've released the need to rush, the need to explain, the need to prove. You've released the belief that peace is something to find, when it's always been something to create. You've released the old version of yourself that needed noise to feel alive. And now, you've returned to the quiet truth of who you are. Still, steady, and strong. The calm one doesn't announce their transformation. They simply live it. They don't seek attention. They draw it through energy. They don't demand respect. They earn it through consistency. Because calm isn't the absence of chaos. It's the mastery of it. And once you've built that within, you'll never fear losing it again. You'll walk through life differently. Not above others, but within yourself. At peace, at ease, at home. And now you've reached the quiet part of the journey. The part where understanding turns into becoming. You've listened. You've reflected. You've grown. And somewhere between the words, you found something deeper. Yourself. Not the version that chases, not the one that needs to be seen, but the one that finally feels enough in silence. You've learned that real power isn't in noise. It's in restraint. It's in holding your energy when everyone else is wasting theirs. It's in moving quietly towards something bigger, without needing anyone to see the steps. Because you've discovered that peace isn't passive. It's protective, and silence, it isn't absence. It's alignment. You've learned to protect your energy from noise, from attention, from distraction, to detach from validation, to stop performing for approval, and to find calm in the wait. You've learned to show up. Not because you're motivated, but because you're committed. You've learned to guard your peace, to move privately, and to stand tall in stillness. You've learned that silence doesn't hide you. It strengthens you. That it doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means something sacred is unfolding. And maybe, as you've listened to these words, you realized something powerful. You don't need to tell people what you're doing. You just need to keep doing it. You don't need to defend your dreams. You just need to live them. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to become it. Because the truth is, the loudest success is the one that doesn't need to shout. So keep your peace close. Keep your vision private. Keep your energy clean, because the more you protect your silence, the louder your results will sound. There's nothing to prove anymore. You've already become everything you were meant to be, steady, patient, and powerful in your own calm way. You've stopped competing. You've stopped performing. You've stopped explaining. And now you've started living, quietly, intentionally, authentically. The world will keep getting louder. People will keep talking. Opinions will keep spinning. But you'll keep building. You'll keep focusing on what matters. You'll keep walking your own path, unbothered, unshaken, completely at peace. Because you've learned the difference between noise and movement, between speaking and showing, between seeking attention and becoming undeniable. And now, you understand that silence was never empty. It was everything. Let your calm speak for you. Let your results echo your discipline. Let your peace remind people that true strength doesn't demand attention. It earns it. You've done the work. Now walk forward with quiet confidence, because everything meant for you is already finding its way. Move with grace. Work with focus. Rest with peace. And always, always, win in silence. This has been Never Tell People What You Do. Focus in silence. Win in public. From Bookwise Audio. A place for calm minds, quiet strength, and real transformation. If these words found you at the right time, stay a while. Subscribe, reflect, return. And remember, you don't need to speak loudly when your peace already says everything. Thank you for listening. This is Bookwise Audio.